Hi, to start out stoichiometry, we need to remember how to do our mole conversions. So stoichiometry is the measure of elements, and this is when we look at a reaction and we figure out how much of each reactant we need to make so many products, and that's what we're leading up to. But today, mole conversions. So what do you need to do everything in this unit? For sure, you need my periodic table of the elements. And I have a link to that so you can print it out again. And then you need your mole islands. Okay, so this is the one we've already used. And this is the one that we're going to. Okay, what is the difference between these two? Well, first of all, we're just converting liters to moles, things to moles, grams to moles. You now know what standard temperature and pressure is. This is for gases, and our conversion factor only works at standard temperature, which is 0 degrees C, 273 K, and pressure at 1 atmosphere. Okay. And what are we doing? Well, we're converting volume of a single gas to moles of that same gas. So this is for one element only. Okay, we're not looking at different elements, we're only looking at one, and this is going to be your distinguishing factor between doing mole conversions and doing stoichiometry. Stoichiometry is about a reaction when we're converting one element or one substance to a different substance. And let's not say it's an element because it's really a substance, because it could be an element or a compound. Okay. So on the top here, I have our conversions, and we should make sure they're in our chart, okay? For every 1 mole of gas, it is true that there is 22.4 liters of that gas. For every 1 mole of things, which could be anything, we could have a mole of pencils, we could have a mole of atoms, molecules, or electrons. That's what we talk about in chemistry. We have Avogadro's number, which is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, and this could be things, but remember, this is just a counting number. If I say a dozen, it's 12. If I say a mole, it's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. Huge there, okay? And then we have our grams to our moles. And grams, how many grams are in 1 mole? Well, where do we find that? That's the molar mass from the periodic table, and we would look that up. So for hydrogen, there is 1.01 grams per every 1 mole, okay? And remember, our mass number is always the big number. On this chart, it happens to be the bottom number, but that could be flipped. But we're using this chart, so that would be your bottom, your bigger number. Okay, so once we have this filled out, we can do a review of what molar mass is, because if we are converting from grams to moles, I need to know what that molar mass is, okay? Just a quick side note, if I say grams, you're going to measure that on a scale. If I say how many things, that's a counting number. That's the difference between these two, counting number versus mass on a scale. Okay, so what is the molar mass of nitrogen gas? Well, the molar mass of nitrogen would be found on the periodic table, and here is nitrogen, and that is 14.01. However, nitrogen gas is N2. That is 2 nitrogens bound together. And for molar mass, we need to calculate the mass of every single atom in this molecule. So I have 2 nitrogens. I've added them together, 14.01 grams per mole for each. And that gives me a total of 28.02 grams per mole. And that's the molar mass. You may be tempted to put grams there, okay? A molecule of nitrogen gas does not weigh 28.02 grams. That would be a lot of mass for one little tiny molecule. This is the mass per mole. Then remember, moles are a little package that contains 6.02 times 23rd number of things, okay? So, what is the molar mass of ammonia? Well, that's our N and 3 H's bound together. So I've added up every single atom, N, 1, 2, 3 H's, and that would give me 14, 15, 16, 17, 17.04 grams per mole. Remember, mole is a counting number. It is not an abbreviation for molecule. Okay, so let's get to our worksheet, and I'm going to do the first two with you. I'm going to remind you, these are conversions, okay? We put our starting number, our given number. We get rid of our given units by putting them on the bottom so they cancel out, and we go to the units we want, and then we plug in our truth statement to make a conversion. Okay, I also want you to start writing the path, and this will be on your worksheet. Now, you need to show all your work or no credit, and I'm going to show you an easy way to put your work down so you don't have to do it double-lined. Okay, so the first thing we know is we want to find out how many moles, and they give us this many atoms. Okay, so things. We are going to start at things, and we are going to go to moles. Okay, so what is our path? Our path is our given, which is atoms. And how many do we want? We're going to try and find out moles. Okay, now notice, to go from atoms to moles, that is only going through one life raft. That's only one conversion. Remember, this can flip. How did we know which way to write it? Well, that's by putting your whichever unit you want on the bottom and going to where you want on top. And then we plug in our numbers. It doesn't matter if moles on top or on the bottom. For this conversion, one stays with moles. 6.02 always stays with things. So let's write down our given. Our given is 3.01 times 10 to the 22nd atoms. And I want to convert it. So, there's my conversion factor. I don't want atoms anymore. It goes on the bottom. And I do want moles. Okay? So, what goes with moles? 1 goes with moles. This happens to be a flip conversion. What goes with atoms? If you go back and look, it's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. Okay? Now, a quick review on our calculator. If you have this one, okay, so I've got to turn it on. Always important. Oops. Okay. 6.02. And here is the EE. That's the second function. Second function, that means times 10. Second function, EE, that means times 10. That's what that E means, to the 23rd. Okay? So that's how you put it in that calculator. If you're using a calculator like this one, it's 6.02. EE means times 10 to the 23rd. Okay, so remember how to do that on your calculator. Okay, so let's put that in our calculator. That would be 3.01. EE means times 10 to the 26th divided by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd equals, and that will equal 0.05 moles. On your quiz, you might be very tempted to leave it with just moles, but that is only one part of the unit. Moles of what? Moles of peanuts? No, it's 0.0500 moles of magnesium. why 0, 0? Because I had 1, 2, 3 significant figures in my given, so I need 1, 2, 3 significant figures in my answer. Make sure on your quiz you double check that there's just not moles, it's moles, which is our measure, and magnesium, which is our chemical, and that would be the correct choice. Now we're going to do our two-step conversion. And your quiz will have one one-step conversion and one two-step conversion, and that's it. That's all your quiz is 2 steps. So when you're done with this worksheet, I suggest you do your quiz right away, provided you got all your answers right. The quiz will close on the next school day, which will be Wednesday at midnight. Okay? So here, number 2, determine the volume. That's what I want. That's what I'm trying to find out. In liters, occupied by 36 grams, that should say of, H2O at standard temperature and pressure. Okay, so now what is my path? I'm starting at grams. They gave me 36 grams of peanuts, no, 36 grams of water, and they want me to find the liters of gas. So apparently it's going to get hot, and this water is going to turn into gas. Okay, so can I go right to things? Well, no, the sharks will eat you, and you don't have a conversion factor. So where do I have to go? You always go to moles first. That's one conversion, and then from moles we are going to what we want, which is volume of gas, and that is 2 conversions. So my path is going from grams to moles to liters. Okay, so we have grams, and then we have a conversion to get to moles, and then we have a conversion to get to liters. I write down my given number first. So I write down my 36 grams. And do I want grams? I do not want grams. So now I have to check. I'm going from grams, and my first island is moles. So that's what I want for my first step. So I'm going from grams to moles. Do I want to stay on that mole island? No, I do not. I want to get off mole island, and I want to go to liters. Now I double check. My grams of water, this is all water. And I know this seems tedious, but you will get confused when we do 2 substances. I have to make sure I know what substance I'm at. My grams will go away. My moles will go away, and I'm left with liters of water, and that's what I want. So how do I figure this out? Well, for every 1 mole of water, I have H2, so that's 2 H's and an O, 1.01, 1.01, and 16.00, which is going to give me 18.02 grams for every 1 mole. So for every 1 mole, I have 18.02 grams. Okay? For every 1 mole, how many liters of gas do I have? 22.4. In case you get lost, here's my grams to moles. Here's my thing. How do I know which way to flip? Well, I'm at grams. I want to get rid of grams, so grams go on the bottom. So this is flipped. I got my molar mass from the periodic table. I go to moles. Here I am. That's great, but I don't want to stay at moles. I want to go to liters. I get rid of moles by putting it at the bottom and 22.4 liters on top. Okay? Okay. Now, how do I put this in my calculator? Well, I put in my given, which is 36, not 23. It's 36 grams of water. And then I multiply by 1, which I don't have to do, and I'm going to hit divide by 18.02. Every time you do one thing, hit equals. Why? Because calculators work different ways. If you hit equals, it'll make all your calculators work perfectly. Multiply by what's on top times 22.4 equals divided by 1. You don't have to do that. It'll keep the answer the same. Okay? And then that's my answer. My answer is 44.75. Okay, now I have 2 sig figs is what they gave me. Remember, significant figures is based on your givens. I underline my 2 sig figs. Does a 7 round it? Yes, it does. So I have 45 liters. Liters of peanuts? No, liters of water, and that is my answer. Okay? Now, here I have these steps with lines, and that gets very tedious to write out on your worksheet. So I could write it like this. I can write 36 grams of H2O. And then what is this? This is 1 mole divided by 18.02. Okay, parentheses, times 22.4 slash over 1. And notice I didn't put in my units here. I want you guys to on your piece of paper, but if you don't put it when you show me your work here, that's fine. I can figure out what you're doing. But it would be good if you put moles of H2O and grams of H2O and liters of H2O per 1 mole. Okay? But this way you don't have to do double lines, and I can see your work just fine, and that will be how you show me the work. So now you are going to go 3 through 7, and I have the answers at the bottom here so you can make sure you're doing your work correctly. I double checked them twice. I made up these problems. If something's not going perfectly right, please email me so I can double check my work yet again. I make mistakes just like you do. And then take your quiz. So we're going to do a unit and then a quiz for the rest of this, and there will be no final test on this. Okay? Text me with or email me with any problems that you have. Really private message me. Talk to you later.